Hello, welcome to Voluntary Living, our weekly content about living a voluntary lifestyle right where you are. First off, I want to thank you for making The Case for Anarchy our #1 viewed content on our channel. You can check it out down below. It's well worth the view. But also, I will post a link to a vocal article I did based on that video, and it'll be posted in the comments. Be sure to like and share our channel. We want to get the word out about voluntarism, about the voluntary movement, about how people can live a voluntary lifestyle. Together, we can create the world we desire. Now for tonight's topic. Okay, I'm back. Had to put on my hat so my freshly shaved head doesn't high beam me to death. Anyway, tonight's episode is about the black market and the trouble with laws. I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on here at the farm. Wintertime is kind of a slow time for farmers, and there's not a lot of plants going in. We're working on getting the greenhouse built, but really not pressing. Letting the pigs furrow up some ground out here and take care of that, and we do have some good news. Cleopatra is preggers. So it looks like sometimes this spring we'll have 6 to 8 piglets that we'll be able to market. And that's one of the things I want to about Buckwheat's farms is not only about providing for ourselves, but providing for our neighbors and our community. And this comes in the way of marketable items. Now, we approach it from the standpoint of sharing. We have currently going on our egg sharing program, which has paid great dividends already. We go out and we take eggs to neighbors when we have excess, and we've already made a few inroads with some neighbors. But one of the things that happened out of this was one of my neighbors, after we told them, we return the carton of eggs and we'll fill it back up and bring them when we have excess again. And he brought over some chocolate, some really good dark chocolate, and with sea salt in it. And I love dark chocolate. He didn't know this, but I do love dark chocolate. So I received something of far greater value to me than I had given, and vice versa. And that was a voluntary exchange. There was no coercion, no government necessary, no force necessary, no limitations of our market, false limitations, artificial players in our market. It was just he and I in an exchange. There was no sale. I voluntarily gave him my eggs. He voluntarily gave me something of value. And that's the way that a true black market is voluntary exchanges of things of value without coercion. And so how can I, and that's my goal here, is to establish a black market of sharing within this community where I can bring food and vegetables. I've got a couple of people around here. There's a guy across the street who's really good at building cabinets and woodworking and things like that. There's another guy behind me who's built some beautiful outdoor, he built a porch and a nice gazebo, and I need some things built around my house. So these are things that we can exchange. I give them, they give me, and so we have a mutual exchange, and so a black market is developed. And any way to cut out the middleman, to starve the beast, is appropriate. And there's nothing illegal about this. See, because really, and let's get to the second part of this, which is, we all know black markets are the best, and we all know, but what's the trouble with laws? The real trouble with laws, the real problem with laws, is that people only obey the laws they choose to obey. And these same laws are largely ignored by those who are put in place to enforce them. So what about the first one? If you ever go at a stop sign in a busy city street, there's no one who comes to a complete stop unless there's the threat around the violence. There's no one voluntarily, but yet at the stop sign, not coming to a complete stop never prevents or never causes hardly ever causes an accident. It's carelessness that causes an accident. And truly, if you understand voluntary interactions, you understand that the stop signs actually cause more accidents than they stop, because people trust the stop sign rather than their instincts, and they make stupid decisions and pull out, and that kind of thing. Because we're perfectly capable, again, of governing ourselves. So people rarely obey laws. Look at, again, the whole war on drugs, that it was lost by the government largely because people just ignored the law. They chose to risk whatever punishment came with doing the act. And think about that too. At one time, homosexuality was outlawed in this country, and how again did that change? People disobey. People will only obey the laws they choose to obey, that it's comfortable and okay for them to obey. But the second part is the most insidious part of it, is that those who are charged with enforcing the laws largely ignore them. You see it all the time. In Georgia, Representative Alan Peake, his signature legislation was a ban on texting while driving. All it served to do was create an entire class of criminals out of people who were not criminals before. That's beating a dead horse. But the amazing thing about it is if you drive the highways in Georgia, you will find that the most egregious violators of this law are law enforcement officials, are government employees, are the very people who are charged with enforcing the laws. The president signs an executive order that masks must be worn on all federal grounds at all times, and then turns around and has a gala bash on federal grounds without a mask. See, I had this conversation with my good friend's son-in-law, who's a law enforcement officer. At the time, I had posted quite a few posts from Policing the Police, and he disagreed vehemently and wanted to confront me at my friend's wedding, which I backed away once, twice, 3, 4. I don't know how many times I said, this is not the place. My wife is a witness. There are witnesses. My brother is a witness. And finally, he just wouldn't quit. So I asked him, I said, have you ever written a warning ticket? Oh, sure. I'm a good cop. Did you ever cite someone for the same violation that you wrote the warning ticket for? Well, yeah, it's my job. So then you just violated your oath of office to keep the Constitution, because the Constitution has a little clause in it that is a separation of powers, that you can't be both adjudicator and the one who basically punishes for the enforcer of the law. You can't be both adjudicator and victim. I mean, you're trying to be all things in this case. And the level of butthurt that came out made it obvious that I had struck a nerve. See, because it's not about law. It's not about safety. It's about control. Create your black market so that you step out of the control. They only have the control that you cede. As for me and my house, I rule. Peace out.